Welcome viewers to another edition of Brave Namibia, where we celebrate both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. In our first clip today, we head east of Rundu, where Jareen Hoff spoke to the founder of the Mudiro organization, Barbara Miller.
I grew up in Switzerland, in Bern. That's the capital of Switzerland, and I had always I traveled a lot in Africa before. I'm traveling not through Africa, but in the southern African countries. And I always wanted to be in Africa. I always had that dream in a way. And in 2013, one of our trips, which I did, my daughter got sick in the north of Namibia, in the Kavango East, where I am now. And since then, I'm plus minus 10 years, since I'm in the north.
So your daughter becoming sick was actually instrumental in you establishing this NGO?
Yeah, she got sick in 2013. And we had to go and find urgently a hospital because everything really went in a very short time quite bad. She was 15 at the time. And we stayed then 2 nights, 3 days in the hospital in Andara, which is a rural hospital, like in a rural area. It was not that easy to be there, to go there and to stay as a European in a really tough hospital like Andara. And when we could go out, when my daughter could go, the doctors asked if we can't do something together. And so I went back to Switzerland and I spoke to my boss and I spoke to the people to let's put some money together and start an NGO. And then I started in 2014. I came with 2 doctors and we came up via Rundu. We drove up to Andara and we spoke to the people in Andara, in a way what they want, what we could do. We can bring in doctors, but everything started in a way no one knew what to do. And in Rundu was at the time the right person from the Ministry of Health, and we could talk to her, and she brought us in in a way that they need the help, they want the help, that we should come and teach people and help them with equipment if possible, but especially with the knowledge.
Tell me about the NGO. What is it called and what does it stand for, and how long did it take to establish that?
The NGO's name is Mudiro.
Which means?
Mudiro means fire, energy, and I wanted the element who fits me. So I think I have that energy. And the question what you just asked, how long it took you, it didn't take me long, because if I want something, I do it, and I have that power, and I go through. So so it didn't take me so long. I had, of course, now to bring up all of it, to organize everything. I'm still learning, still today. So it's not that everything happens and it's in the right way. But it didn't take me long, and I really had good people as well around me to help me to bring it up. And I think because the network which I have in Switzerland or in Europe, in Germany as well, is quite big, and that helped me to get doctors, to bring doctors in, to get nurses, to get physiotherapists from overseas to come and teach in the Kavango East and West.
On average, how long does a doctor stay?
I never allowed a doctor to stay less than 5 weeks.
Okay.
Because I think you need a time to get involved into the hospital, to get to know the people, to get to know what they do, how they work, how they see things. In Europe, everything is very fast and everything is the newest, and qualities are high. And here it's totally different. And for Europeans to come, they first have to see with what they have to do, with what kind of material they have to work with. So I always said let's at least have a week, 10 days to get into everything, and then work and then say goodbye. So.
And how many doctors have you had here in the last 9 years?
All in 142, but let's say 60%, if not 70, are repeaters. So they really like to do that. They like to come, they come again, they like to come and teach. We have 5 hospitals where we are working at, and all the hospitals really appreciate the help, the work, the teachings. What we do with them, especially as we bring specialists in, as example gynecologists or internal medicine, to really teach pediatrician, to help in all these different subjects.
But your main base is at Andara. How many doctors and medical professionals do you think you have trained in the last 9 years? Or assisted rather?
That's a lot. I can't tell you. I mean, in Andara there are now 5 doctors. They were 3 to 5 mostly. As well, like in Yangana, they are the same or similar like the hospitals. But I can't tell you how many people that we really trained. But it's a lot. I mean, it's 20 doctors per year, plus minus, roughly. And it depends on which doctor, but they have between 3 and 15 people who are attending the courses.
And how many patients do these doctors see on average?
It depends what kind of doctor it is. If we also have, as example, a 4x4 mobile clinic where we go to the rural areas, we go into the bush, and we stay there with our doctors for 1, 2, 3 days. We go with the outreach team from the hospitals, and there they see 100, 120 patients per day. It's really, really a lot. There is really, the need is huge, really huge.
In terms of technology, what is it that you need the most? Or even medicine?
That's a difficult thing. Medicine, the thing is that the hospitals have their medicine. We use what they have. We also use as example the equipment what they have. The only thing what we till today brought in from Europe is ultrasounds, because that's a very good equipment which we can use everywhere. Portable ultrasounds as well, where we can go with the mobile clinic to use it in the bush. We bring in a couple of equipment, or we brought in, but I think we do what we can do with what they have in the hospitals. I think the main thing, or the most important thing, is for a gynecologist or the gynecologist to help all these women, all these children with the pediatrician. But the equipment there is very simple. You don't need a lot in a way, especially in the bush. But yeah, ultrasound, I would say, is really the most important part, what we have and what we very teached.
So next year your organization is 10 years old. Are you planning a big celebration?
It's a good question. I made a huge celebration when the mobile clinic came last year. I think that was really one of the ones, really something very special which we got. I think it would be nice to make a big celebration, to really I think we achieved a lot together with the local hospitals, the local people here in the Kavango. I think Andara could grow a lot as well through the work which we did together, and the exchange. So it would be nice to make a big celebration. Yeah, it would be great.
Where can people get hold of you, and if there are any persons that would like to make donations, where can they find you?
I think the easiest is on the homepage, mudiro.com, and there is also info@mudiro.com mail address. And we always like to get donations, get help, because that's how we survive. So it's more than welcome. to help us.
And then finally, how often have you been back to Switzerland?
Yeah, I should go twice a year, and I try to go twice a year. I mean, all the funders, all the foundations, everyone who is sponsoring us is from Europe. So I really go to say thank you to the people directly. I go to have presentations in Switzerland to show the people what we do. But it's a beautiful country, and I'm proud to be Swiss, but I'm home in Africa, so I struggle to go sometimes back to Switzerland. I somehow miss Africa, even if I'm in the plane to go to Switzerland.
Next, Jemima Ndebele chats to taste restaurateur Nicla Dos Santos.
Hi guys, my name is Nicla Dos Santos. I am executive chef and co-owner of Taste. A little over 2 years now. We launched officially on the 11th of November 2021.
And when did you realize that this is what you want to do, that you have a love for the culinary arts?
Well, I've always cooked, so it's always been part of my upbringing, let me say, because of my Angolan heritage. So I am of Angolan descent. So I've always cooked. That's been part of like my Angolan culture and the upbringing. However, it wasn't until COVID where I really started to tap into that more, started experimenting more, started improving on my technique, my knowledge around food recipes, and the overall skill set. So it wasn't up until 3-4 years ago where I started taking it seriously. However, I've always done it, just not with as much precision, and obviously intent, you know. So
What would you say sets Taste apart from its competitors?
I think it's the creative element that we have with regards to our culinary offering. We never really follow, we don't have a recipe book. We experiment so much each and every single week. We're really also intentional about always elevating like the taste of the cuisine and of the dishes that form part of our menu. Moreover, I think it's the direction in which Taste has taken when it comes to the whole approach of food, which is contemporary dining. So we really just wanted to push the envelope within our own culinary industry in Namibia. So yeah.
Other than that, what is the impact that you want to make on the culinary industry of Namibia?
I think I want to ultimately, or my ultimate goal, I want to change the way we look at food. I think that for the most part, we're part of like a culture that is not necessarily well exposed or well traveled. So a lot of stuff or like a lot of offerings that happen within the culinary and the food space has literally been the conventional way of that offering for so long. And I think I really just want to bridge that gap between not being well exposed and not being well traveled, and bring that experience, you know, to the whole dining scene, to the whole dining scene at the moment. And yeah, I think ultimately having to change the way we just look at food.
And where do you draw your culinary inspiration from?
I think from a lot of food cultures. I would say what's on top of that list for me would have to be Asian contemporary dining. I think there's a lot of originality. There's a lot of there's a lot of originality. There's a lot of culture within Asian dining. I think for me, they are the pinnacle of like culinary because there's just so much to explore. So many ingredients, so much technique, so much flavor. And all of my dishes are very contingent on like flavor before technique or before like presentation and all of that. So I would say Asian cuisine.
And how have you integrated that inspiration into taste over the past 2 years?
I'd say primarily flavor. Like I said, I think that's like our biggest selling point in all of our dishes. I would say technique. I would say, elevation in terms of, or constant improvement rather. I think that aspect alone is what keeps the brand strong. It's what keeps people very excited, and also just the curiosity of also trying to find, trying to see what lies at the end of that dish, or the end of that technique, or the end of that menu in terms of like experience. Like I said, we don't follow recipes at all. We do everything in the moment, on the go. So whenever we launch new dishes or new menus, at the same time that the clientele experiences the new dishes or their new offering, same time for us as well. I think that just puts us in a different conversation, because also it guarantees that if that's the first time that we're doing it, it's just going to get better as time goes along. So,
as much as Taste has been making waves in the culinary space, you've also been making waves in the entertainment space. Could you tell us more about your inspiration to integrate culinary arts and entertainment?
Okay, so entertainment has always been part of my creative build-up. So I just literally then found a way to create an experience where I merge the creative journey that I'm on now, which is in the culinary space, and that I was once passionate about, and merge it into one to create a new experience that hasn't necessarily been done here before, or done in that way, in terms of like execution and experience. I think that my time in entertainment had also come to an end because I felt like I reached a creative block in terms of creating new experiences and just adding more to like that culture or that space. So it was just a way to sort of then forge a new lane of entertainment and culinary within that one brand. So,
what would you say has been a highlight for you and is your most memorable taste event? And what makes it so special?
I would say our 2nd year anniversary. I think mostly because of that is the first time we ever put out a theme or a concept that we were able to execute properly. I think from an organizational point of view. And I think in terms of like an offering, I think we were really able to execute that properly. We were able to deliver what we sold to the clientele. I think it also gave us newfound experience within handling pressure, and also just in terms of like delivery and precision. So I would say that one, 110%.
And what was the theme of the loss of that particular event?
If I'm not mistaken, it was like Summer Derby, so it was sort of like not necessarily like a spin-off, but like a small scale type of Durban July type of thing, so yeah.
And what advice would you give to aspiring chefs and people hoping to follow your lead?
I would say just get started with the little that you have, or with whatever you have at the moment. I don't think that there's necessarily a perfect moment to get started, or there aren't necessarily certain things that you have to tick off to get started. I think also what's most important is that the more you do, the more opportunity you get. And I think the more opportunity you get, the more you're able to grow, the more you attract the right kind of people to either invest in your dream or to partner up with you. But ultimately, don't be afraid to shake the tree. I think that there's like a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of gap within our culinary space. I think we need more young people who are exposed and who have like a creative head on them, to sort of like just elevate our whole dining experience, and to add more character and more originality to it. So, yeah.
What are 3 key lessons that this experience of being in a managerial position has taught you?
Yeah, so I think it's taught me patience, mostly in the sense that in as much as you want things to happen or you have a plan, I think things naturally like take time. So it's taught me patience in between having to, I think being where I am versus where I want to be, and versus the things that I'm doing in between to have to get there. And yeah, I think ultimately, just patience in the fact that even when you are in this industry, it still doesn't happen overnight. I think with a lot of things that you want to do, it teaches you that you need to space things out, and it takes you having to implement something and having to allow it to materialize, and for it having to take impact the way you want it to. I think it's also allowed me to, I think the other lesson has been I think it's taught me like much more humility. Not that I was never, but I think I am more humble than I've ever been. I think just because like I'm also very, very responsible for like so many people and their livelihoods. I think it's also taught me to really not prioritize my ego in a lot of things, especially because it's not all about me. It's bigger than me, and I feel like I am in a position where I think how do I say? Where I think that I'm here to serve other people, and that it's part of like a bigger purpose, and that's not even to like sound fake deep or to like make it cliche because everybody says that, but I definitely feel like, you know, my purpose is bigger, and this is just one building block to having to get to where this has to go, and I think it's literally then for the betterment of our culinary industry, for the betterment of so many people's lives, for the betterment of our food space and the impact that that's supposed to sort of make in that space. So I would say that as well. I think it's taught me much more humility, just with regards to that, because I definitely feel like this is part of a bigger purpose, and it's not about having me be the center of attention in that kind of space. I think it's to highlight so much more that's still underneath, or that has barely scratched the surface. So, yeah.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia, when we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians sharing their stories. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and oneup2.com, and broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Algemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Thank you for tuning in today. If you know of someone you feel should feature on our show, please contact us at brave@synergy.com.na.